Bent! What a save from Hart! It's unbelievable!
Yaya Toure. Yaya Toure finally breaks the Villa deadlock. Manchester City, for the third game in a row, take the lead. Can they hold on to it this time?
Well, it's been coming. They can't get out those Aston Villa defenders. The legs have gone. And it's not a blast, it's a place with his left foot. Side foot from Yaya Toure. Wonderful, wonderful finish.
Bruyne, he turns, gets away from that, attempt to clip his heels. He's come to Aguero. Aguero's shot is rifled into the net. A delicious strike from Aguero to make it 3-0. And in the space of 10 minutes, City are taking charge.
There's a problem here for City. The Sterling's down. The Villa carrying on. Cash. Too much on the cross. City want to put the ball out of play because they're a man down at the moment, but Mahrez has it and he's put under pressure. But Fernandinho whips it into the channel for Jesus, and they're stretched. A Villa. Bernardo Silva, an absolutely brilliant counter-attacking goal from Manchester City. They were briefly a man down. It didn't matter. They swept forward in style, and they are in control of this match at Villa Park.
It won't go down as a goal of the season, but the move from back to front is just simply brilliant. Konsa's deep, Mings goes in too high, and then it's about this cross. Can you put it on a plate for Bernardo Silva? You're thinking take a touch, he doesn't need to. Such is the technique, it's absolutely magnificent. Collins heads it down. Bent! What a save from Hart! It's unbelievable. Denies his England teammate an equaliser. Well, how many points do these types of save earn you over the course of a season? It's a millisecond from Joe Hart to react. It's genius.
Hello and welcome to a very chilly Villa Park, where I'm joined by a man who swapped Indonesia and the World Cup for the Premier League. It's third against fourth at Villa Park. Darius Vassell, a man who's represented both clubs. Thank you for joining us on Matchday Live.
Yeah, as cold as it is, it's good to be here. Looking forward to a great night of football.
Let's talk about your former club, Aston Villa, and the memories that you had here. You had many great memories here, and it's a great stadium, isn't it, and a great occasion.
Yeah, brilliant place to be. It's good to come back. I've come back a few times since I've left. It's almost haunting. This is obviously my childhood, this is my youth, it's my family, but at the same time Villa have progressed. They're a different team now, they're a different outfit. I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform tonight.
They've had a real rejuvenation under Unai Emery, haven't they? Third against fourth it is today. If I said to you we were coming in December, Aston Villa against Manchester City, would you have seen Aston Villa in this position?
I don't think anybody would have, and I think that is a credit to the manager, the team, obviously the players and the performances, and I think the Villa fans now have something to shout about and sing about, and I'm expecting a really good atmosphere here tonight.
And of course for Manchester City tonight, is it must win or is it way too early for that?
A bit early, I think. I think that they will believe that they must win. I think the standards that they're set are really high, but if they were to slip up, if they were to draw or anything today, I don't think it's the end of the world for Man City.
Absolutely not. Listen, we'll have a lot more from Pitchside here at Villa Park, and we will definitely talk to Darius at some point about the Under-17 World Cup that he experienced, but we're going to head to the studio where Natalie is with David James and Emile Heskey.
Thank you so much to FG and to Darius Vassell there. I do hope they've wrapped themselves up warm this evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live at 8:15 p.m. kickoff UK time as City take on Aston Villa. And yes, I am joined in the studio, as FG says, by two Premier League legends. One of our regulars and, of course, most favourite guests, David James, Mr. Stato, by the way, Emile Stato, and making his Matchday Live debut. It is Emile Heskey. Good evening.
Thank you for having me.
Are you guys friends?
Are we friends?
Yeah, well, it's a very subjective term. We're friends, of course. Yeah.
From the second that you both came into the studio, I was like, these guys are actually friends. Did you know then, Emile, how much of a stato he is?
Yeah. From playing with JMO, yeah, definitely. You love all your stats. You love all information. Information overload for JMO.
Although there is one stat which I don't love.
Okay.
And that's Em's 100th Premier League goal.
Yeah.
Was that against you?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a bad day. Windy.
He's always talking about the wind on this show, you know, Emile. We'll bring you the team news the second that we're allowed. Matchday Live is always the first place to get your team news for this evening. So thank you very much for being here tonight. We'll get onto it later, but both your sons play for Manchester City in the academy. So I guess our studio is based in the academy. I guess you're used to coming here quite a lot.
Yeah, spent a lot of time here. It's funny because obviously when they started, it was Platt Lane. So I've been coming to the institute since Platt Lane.
Wow, I didn't realise that your sons had been playing from such a young age, because they're still so very young now as well. We are going to chat to Emile later on about both of his sons that, of course, play in the academy. I'm sure you'll already know that as well, but if not, we're going to find out a little bit about them and, of course, a lot more about Emile's career as well. So it is time now to give you tonight's team news. So we're going to go back over now to Villa Park to FG and Darius Vassell.
Yes, thank you, Nat. Welcome to Villa Park. I've got the Manchester City team news for you. In goal is Ederson, and then the captain is Kyle Walker, and then it is Ruben Diaz, Akanji, and Josko Vardiol. John Stones starts, as does Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, Julian Alvarez, and Erling Haaland. The substitutes for Man City: Stefan Ortega, Scott Carson, Calvin Phillips, Nathan Ake, Mateo Kovacic, Sergio Gomez, Mateus Nunes, and Oscar Bob. Back pitchside with me is Darius Vassell. Darius, we've seen the team. I guess the big news is that John Stones starts.
Yep.
I guess the next question is, where do you think John Stones plays?
I think it'll be a straight swap. I think he'll be in midfield. He's performed well there on occasion. He'll want to play there. It gives him a chance to, get near the goal, produce some kind of football which allows City to get, in the final third. I think that's where he's going to want to play. Obviously, we don't know what Pep's going to do. He could play in defence. We'll have to see.
Now, of course, his best moments in a City shirt, you could argue, were in that treble season, and he was stepping in. But a man who's also been stepping in is Manu Akanji. He's been doing quite a bit. Could we potentially see tonight them two rotating within the back four? Do you think Manu's just going to sit in the back four?
I was going to suggest that. I'm not sure whether they would do that, but they both have proved that they can do bits in there in that midfield. So it's either a case of one or the other, or rotation. I think rotation is the clever way of doing it. I think that might upset the way Villa are looking at their out of possession a little bit, but who knows? Pep's got his job for a reason, and it's the reason why I'm standing here. He's where he is.
He is indeed. We've got Rico Lewis as well starting today. We run out of words for this young man, because it's hard to believe that he's just 19 years of age. He's made his England international debut. He was man of the match in that game. He's had a couple of man of the matches for Man City. Explain to me what you think about it.
Sky's the limit. I think it's all learning. It's all experience. It's valuable for him. As much as he's got good people around him, coaches and players, the main learning is going to be through that experience, for being out here, being out in this night air, this freezing air, and getting that match minutes under his belt. He can only improve if he stays clear of injury. He's going to be the next big thing for Man City.
Let's absolutely hope so. Let's talk about Julian Alvarez. Where do you think he's going to play? Because he's been finding a role, in the midfield. Do you think he's going to continue that behind Erling Haaland, or do you think he might push that wide in this game?
I think so. I think it will be midfield. I think he will have a licence to go where the space is. I think Pep will trust him. He's obviously got the ability to find the back of the net and find other players with assists. So I wouldn't pin him down to a position. I think City have that fluidity in attack. For me, I think he could end up anywhere. Behind Haaland is the ideal place where he can be close and he can combine. But don't be surprised to see him out in the wing making things happen out there.
Now, of course, we will have the Aston Villa team news for you very, very soon. But I do want to touch on Aston Villa and a man who is in incredible form, especially at Villa Park, and that's Ollie Watkins. Yep. It's a great opportunity for him, but it's a huge test for Man City tonight, isn't it?
It is a test. I think Villa are going to have the opportunity to counter-attack today. I think City, as they always do, they're going to dominate possession. And Ollie Watkins, that suits him. Villa will get the ball forward early, and he will battle, he will challenge for things, and he'll be a goal threat. He will run with the ball. And I've certainly come out here tonight, to see what he's going to do. He's an exciting player. He reminds me of players of the past at Villa Park. And I don't know what to say. I want him to score, but obviously I'm in mixed emotions. I want City to get something as well.
Now, you can probably see behind us the Holt End. Let's talk about the Holt End real quick. What is the atmosphere going to be like in that? Especially because Aston Villa are playing so well. Even in the worst of times for Villa, that's where all the noise comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it is. It's been said that they can, literally suck the ball into their net. It's a great atmosphere there. As a Villa player, you always want to score in the Holt End. You talk about that in the changing rooms, in and around training, want to score in the Holt End, want to score in the Holt End. That's no disrespect to any of the other stands, but there's something about the Holt End. There's a bit of history there. And ideally, for Villa players, if you can score in the Holt End, you're one step closer to being a legend here.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, there's no Jeremy Doku today, but we have got a signed Jeremy Doku FC24 item to give away to one of you Matchday Live viewers. We're going to head back to the studio. I've got a question for Natalie. If you played me on FC24, how many goals do you reckon you'd lose by?
Thank you so much to FG and to Darius there. FG, I have seen your videos. I know that you are not very good. I've never played before, and I still reckon I would beat you. So thank you so much. FG and Darius Vassell there. So the team news is in. The big news there, 2 changes from the team, of course, that drew with Tottenham at the weekend. Rodri, of course, we're aware, is suspended. Jeremy Doku not in the squad, so we're presuming that he's not fit. Of course, he came off injured in that Spurs game, and Pep mentioned in his press conference about not knowing if he was going to make it or not. So they are both not in the team. Also, remember, Jack Grealish is also suspended for this game as well, after picking up 5 yellow cards. And you had a good stat on that, David.
Yeah, according to my records, Jack Grealish has had 5 bookings this season. Obviously, that's why he's suspended. All bookings have come when he's come on as a sub, and he's only been substituted on 5 times.
5 sub appearances, 5 yellow cards.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if Pep's thinking of putting him on in the future as a sub, I think he should think twice.
Before we get into, obviously, the current team news, I imagine Jack's gutted to be missing this game.
Oh, yeah.
Going back to your former clubs, I guess, is always special.
100%. When you especially being bought the way that he was bought, record transfer fee, etc., and everything, all the hoo-ha about it, and being your boyhood club, like what Darius is talking about there, there's so much emotions come with it, and you want to go back there and you want to do well and you want to score against them, and then he'll be bitterly disappointed that he's not had the opportunity to do that.
So yes, he is not in the squad tonight because of that suspension. So you'll see the team news there on your screen. So what immediately is jumping out at me is that, of course, we have a goalkeeper and we have 4 attackers. We are playing 6 traditional defenders this evening, but of course we know that they don't play as just defenders these days. David, can you try and tell me where the 6 defenders are playing?
Well, I was just saying to you, we were watching the guys there, I think I'm trying to work out who's going to take Rodri's position, and as Darius has mentioned, John Stones makes sense because obviously John Stones is a midfielding defender. I'm just questioning the physique or the physical attributes that John Stones has compared to even Akanji, and whether or not Akanji goes in that Rodri role. John Stones then can go in defence like a traditional defender, and then there's a Rico Lewis element where Rico has played in that John Stones role. It's like they all play in so many different positions that they belong to everyone. One thing I'm confident, Diaz will be in defence.
Diaz is definitely the centre of defence. So, is Kyle Walker definitely a right back, or is he the right of a
Well, he's played in the middle as well, hasn't he? So, if we're thinking about it, I wonder what Unai Emery's thinking.
Yeah.
Yes,
which is good.
Point. So you think it might be Akanji more in the central midfield?
I just think, because if you think of Rodri's role, I mean, Akanji obviously he is mobile, but Rodri doesn't do a lot of the mobility stuff. He is part of that spine, and I think Akanji would be better suited as part of the spine than John Stones, who has that freedom when he plays in midfield. And not saying he can't be disciplined, but it just
I just think, but as well, I think when you're talking about that, I think Darius was saying as well, you're going to have a lot more of the ball. So who do you want on the ball more than?
I think City are the only team this season to have the most percentage in every single game.
There you go. So would you rather have a Kanji in there?
I'd rather, because if you look at the way City have been so fantastic, is you've got the goalkeeper, you've got Diaz, you've had Rodri and Haaland, and it's that spine is rigid in a sense, and everyone else is very, very mobile. And I just think that Akanji would be more, sounds really bad, but I think he'd be better in that position than possibly John Stones.
I've put Rico Lewis in the conversation there as a defender because obviously he came through the academy as a defender, Emile. Are we just accepting now that Rico Lewis is a midfielder these days?
I think we're accepting that when you're a right back or full backs, you have to be able to be comfortable on the ball, and you have to be able to rotate, and you have to be able to play several different positions. And one of the positions is actually coming into the midfield, into them little pockets, and being able to 360, looking and panning and receiving that ball and being able to play out the other side. It's something that City do really well within their youth setup because they actually do it from a very young age. But if you were to go to another club, when a player just sees that, then suddenly they've got to really be panning around. That's the most difficult thing at times. I'm a forward, so ball coming into me is easy. But then once you start having to pan around and start looking all the different positions, it's something that's not easy for you. So I think it's easier for Rico because he actually been doing it from a kid all the way through to where he is now. But when you're taking different fullbacks, it's a lot more difficult.
I love that insight, and I guess that is from your personal experience of your sons being in the academy. Do they have one position, or are they being taught to be able to play multiple roles? Multiple roles.
One was playing on the right for one season, then played on the left, and then played centre back. So they've played all over. Don't get me wrong, they've got the positions that they want to play, but they'll have to play all different positions, so they get a different perspective. If you want someone to be better on their left foot and they're right-footed, play them at left back. Play them left wing and make sure they actually go and use that.
I love that perspective. It's so interesting because yes, we feel like that's why Rico Lewis has taken to it at such a young age so well. And I'd also love to get your perspective on Erling Haaland. And in terms of course, when you were playing, does it feel like his role is as a striker is different to when, of course, you were playing? Because we were so used to seeing sort of partnerships, two of you doing it together.
Yeah, look, I think it's changed obviously over the years. We did play sometimes with one up front, generally one up front and a number 10. But most of the time it was 4-4-2, and you're playing in partnerships. Sometimes you would ask one partner to drop in and make it a 3 in the midfield. But most of the time it's 2 up front, and then you form a partnership. But now obviously you stay as high as you possibly can to stretch that pitch, so your 10s and your 8s can get more space in and around the midfield to work in. The only thing with that is sometimes you feel that you're not involved, but you're actually doing your job by actually stretching the pitch, getting in behind sometimes, and then once you get to a certain part of the pitch, then that's when you start to come alive.
Because so many of your striking partners that you had often said that you were their favourite to play with. And do you think that came from like what you were saying there, that did you feel your role was more than just scoring goals? Yeah,
understanding of a partnership, understanding what your partner wants. I played with Michael, and Michael Owen was fantastic at running in behind, getting onto the flick-ons from me holding the ball, him playing it, and we had so much fun in doing that, and we learnt from a very young age. I played with Michael from under 18s England, so we learnt from a very young age what we were good at, what we weren't so good at, and it was compatible from then. So it just grew and grew from there.
Linking that to Erling Haaland, David, he had 9 assists last season. He's had 5 assists this season already. Of course, we're only at this point in the season so far. Do you think we're seeing a little bit of a different side to him this year?
I think it's interesting what Em says there, because there's quite often we watch games and he doesn't touch the ball much. I think he's probably touched it more this season than he did last season comparatively. But I think and what I was excited about at the beginning of the season, I was seeing different ways that Pep was playing using Haaland. So I think he is learning as well, and possibly in a strange way, the fact that the results haven't gone the way that everyone wanted them to is because, again, there's that bit of transition. But he's getting more assists, as you say, or he will or should have more assists. I think the other thing as well is because Alvarez is playing a lot more as well, so that partnership is developing. He should have been Ballon d'Or, that's all I've got to say. We're
not holding on to any grudges here. I'm still not over the Spurs game in any way, shape or form. So that is the Manchester City team news for tonight's game, 8:15 kickoff. Get the full commentary, of course, on the Manchester City app. As always, if you would like to ask us any questions whatsoever, ask our guests anything that you would like to ask them, then the WhatsApp number is on your screen now. Get your WhatsApp questions in and I'll get through as many of them as I possibly can. So we know the Manchester City team for this evening. It's time to go back over to Villa Park now to find out the Villa team. FG, it looks freezing over there. How are you both coping?
Just about, Natalie. I absolutely am. Welcome back to Villa Park. It's time to reveal the Aston Villa team news for you. In goal is Martinez, and then it is Konsa, Carlos, Pau Torres, Digne, Douglas Luiz, McGinn, Kamara, Tielemans, Eric Bailly and Ollie Watkins. The substitutes are on the screen for you. We've seen the Villa team. Let's start with the goalkeeper, shall we? A man who might have a bit of a busy evening. He's so high rated. He relishes opportunities like this. He's been voted the best goalkeeper in the world, Emiliano Martinez.
Yeah, great goalkeeper. That's how you describe him. He makes nothing but saves. He will relish the opportunity today, and like we discussed earlier, he's going to be believing that he's going to be making saves today, and that's probably good thoughts for him. He's probably ready, making saves already in his mind. City will have to be at the top of their game to beat him today.
Now, I had the opportunity to speak to a couple of Villa fans behind us, and they were really, really happy with Douglas Luiz, the season that he's had so far. Let's talk about him. He's a man who's highly rated. He actually originated from the CFG group. Super high rating, and he really looks the part in that midfield, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think he's the person that makes it tick. He provides a lot of control in the midfield area. He can spot a pass, pick a pass, get forward really well, make a tackle. He's a complete midfield player, and yes, he was involved in the City group, and it'd be interesting to see what City think about him after the end of today's game.
Also, a man who's very, very high rated by the manager is Pau Torres, who was brought in from Villarreal. He played under Emery before. He's won stuff with Emery. He's settled in really, really well to English football, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's Emery knows something that other people don't, and he's got him in. And I think that's what Villa needed. I think a bit of solid sort of leadership quality at the back, and he's bringing that so far. Again, he's going to be tested today, so we'll get to see at the end of the game just how good he really is.
It's a massive test against Erling Haaland, isn't it? And it's a test for Unai Emery. This place is an absolute fortress. The record here is incredible. There's so many consecutive wins. But Unai Emery has actually never beaten Pep Guardiola as of yet. I hope I've not jinxed that. But what do you think about records like that?
It's a very important record for the club, and something's got to give, hasn't it, really, there? I think the record that Villa are on, it's something that they're going to want to defend, it's something they're going to want to keep going, and I think if Emery's going to change that record that he's got against Pep, it's going to have to be tonight, isn't it, on the back of this record that he's got at home.
Absolutely. Now, you look at this Villa side and you look at that team, they've not really changed much from what they usually... How do they approach this game? Because this crowd, I mean, they're a really passionate crowd here, like we mentioned before. Are they expecting attacking free-flowing play? They're going to have to understand that they might have to sit back a little bit, and they might have to, potentially ride their luck a little bit.
Yeah, I think Villa are going to have nothing but belief and motivation. Obviously, they're going to look for the supporters to drive them through. They're on form. They've got nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. I think they're going to be on point and on form. I do think it'll be a counter-attacking style of play today. I think that suits the evening, suits the night for the fans. They're going to want to see that excitement, end-to-end football, so to speak. Villa will have to suffer, I suppose, periods of the game without the ball, as any team does with Man City. But if they counter-attack correctly and Ollie Watkins can get on the end of something, who knows what kind of night Villa will have.
And they absolutely will have to defend really, really well. And a man who's super high rated here as well is Ezri Konsa. What do you make of him?
Again, he had some time at Wolves, I believe, as well. So I know a little bit about him. He's settled in really well at Aston Villa. I think he's loved by the supporters. He's got good players around him now. He's getting the opportunity to not only play well, but to learn as well and get that experience under his belt. And again, this is the biggest test he's going to have tonight here. You know, City away with people like Haaland and in the team. It's going to be very difficult. But again, this is what tells you how good players are.
It absolutely does. It's shaping up to be an absolutely incredible game. 3rd against 4th. Let's head back to the studio. I think they're a little bit warmer than us, don't you? Gosh.
Yeah, we're so warm, FG, that we know that Eric Bailly, the Besiktas player, does not play for Aston Villa. We know that Leon Bailey plays for Aston Villa. I'm never going to let him live this down, guys. We double-taked. We were like, what? I can only presume it is because they're absolutely freezing. So, the Villa team news is in, of course, one of your former clubs, Emile. I'm looking down at it and I'm happy... I'm unhappy that Matty Cash is on the bench because he's in my FPL team. But I do rate him, although he's not been great for me recently. I'm happy that Diaby isn't playing. What's that tactically, do you think that says about Villa tonight?
I think when you're looking at the squad that they've got now, they can rotate anyway. And I think Emery he was a little bit hard done by in recent times. And when you're looking at his actual record, he's got a fantastic record in itself, and he's done fantastic there, and that's a sleeping giant when you talk about clubs. We've seen it go wrong with other managers, but he's done fantastic. He's stuck to what he knows, and the board have backed him, and this is what you're getting. You're reaping the benefits from that, and you're looking at players that with other managers were looking okay, but now looking well beaters with him. And they're doing really, I think they're just doing fantastic and understanding of what he wants. They're aggressive. They're very good on the ball. They brought in Tielemans, who I know from my time at Leicester, well, watching Leicester as well, who's a fantastic ball player. Players like that they're bringing in, and they're just taking them little steps higher and higher up the table.
Emile mentions there, obviously, how well they're doing under Unai Emery. I've got a couple of stats written here, but I don't want to steal them if you were going to say any Unai Emery or Aston Villa stats currently. No. Their total of 22 Premier League victories in this calendar year is only bettered by us, who have 26. They have been phenomenal since he came.
Yeah, it's interesting because there is one omission from Emery's sort of squad this season, and Philip Coutinho. And I think with Stevie G, he wanted to play Coutinho. There was that flipping with Buendia, which I don't think actually worked. Now Unai Emery's got, as Em said, his squad there. Their home form is at 13 wins. Fantastic. Only one team has kept a clean sheet in the first half against them in that time, which was Crystal Palace. They scored 3 goals in the last 10 minutes to win 3-1. There is an Achilles heel, though.
Okay.
And you mentioned Tielemans, and I think on the ball, Tielemans is fantastic. Tracking back, he's not the best. Louise in midfield is also another one who doesn't necessarily track back. I mean, the thing is, they're full of confidence at home at the moment, and I think with FG and Darius talking about the whole end, they need to keep that quiet. And they, as in Manchester City, keep them quiet. If they can do that, it gives them a chance. But he's doing well, Emery. It would have been amazing to see if he'd have been kept on at another club, how they would have got on.
So the full stat is that tonight they can equal their club record of 14 successive home league wins. That was set in 1903 by them. So that is a serious club record they've got there.
I think when I was there, we managed 3 maybe.
I think I was 4.
Yours was 4.
So if we look at the team, there's loads of names that stand out. We mentioned Tielemans already. Ollie Watkins has been a godsend for me in FPL this season. I don't know about you, if you have him in your team, David, but
every time I put him in, he didn't score. So I don't. Might just be me.
Well, I've had him since day one. I got him cheap. He's expensive now. I'm thrilled to have him. He's having a phenomenal season, isn't he? I
think he's been brilliant. Again, he gives you something different because, again, his pace and his directness, as we see with some of the chances that he creates for himself, some of the chances that he goes in on goal and inevitably gets a shot off. And that's one of the things that obviously we're taught as strikers. hit the target, you've done half of your job, and keep it low is even better. And he's managing to do that. And his confidence is sky high because he's in the national team as well. He's been put in there on merit, and the toughest thing for defenders is dealing with pace that from someone who wants to run in behind you. A defender can deal with this all day long, but when you start having to turn and run, you're having to question yourself whether you're actually coming out or not. It gives the whole back four plus the goalkeeper questions, and that's one of the things he loves doing, getting in behind.
And as you say, in the England team now, I'm sure he's got an eye on the Euros come this summer. He seems to be incredibly consistent as well. When you sort of look at Callum Wilson, who picks up injuries, Watkins just seems to have been consistent. I think
that's as well. You got to give that to the medical team and the club itself, because again, for you to go the way that they play as well, a lot of counter-attacking, a lot of pace. So you're having to exert yourself a lot, and you're using your hamstrings a lot. The fact that he's not getting too many injuries is, it shows what their strength and conditioning is like.
You mentioned Tielemans perhaps being an Achilles heel. Did you say when he's not in defensively?
Yeah.
Yes. Is our Achilles heel this evening the fact that Rodri isn't playing? Do you think Aston Villa are going to be setting up to take advantage of that?
Anyone who looks at the stats this season and City's defeats when Rodri wasn't there might think so. Having looked at Villa and the way they play, you're like Capello.
Yeah.
They get bodies in front of the goal. Fabio Capello, and I bring it up because we obviously play together international duty. Capello always wanted 3 bodies in front of the goal. We beat Croatia 4-1. Yeah. M got an assist for Theo Walcott.
Yeah.
We did the video review. Emma dropped out in front of the goal and passed it to Theo Walcott to score his hat-trick, and Fabio went mad because M wasn't in front of the goal. And the reason I mention that is because watching Villa's videos and the goals, the amount of bodies they get in that box. So when you talk about the Achilles heel midfield or the absence of Rodri, it's going to be picking up players in front of the box. And it kind of makes me think that City will go with the back 3 again, try and keep that area condensed. Again, the mobility thing with regards to Akanji and Stone, but the other player who hasn't been mentioned yet, McGinn.
Love John McGinn.
That guy,
engine.
Everything about him this season is superb, and City are going to have to keep him quiet.
I absolutely love John McGinn.
Him as well.
Partly because, of course, he is Scottish and he plays phenomenally for the Scottish national team, and I'm Scottish, Emile, so I love John McGinn. He's one of my favourite players in the Premier League outside of City. How important is he to the way that Villa play?
I think he's a driving engine, isn't he? So a lot of things will go through him, and he'll start... You always have one player that starts something off, whether it be a tackle, whether it be a header, whether it be a shot, whether it be screaming something, and I think he does all of them, doesn't he? So he'll go in and he'll be the first one running into a tackle head first. He'll put his head in it where he's probably not supposed to. He'll take a shot and it'll come off the crossbar, but he'll pick everyone up, and that's when you can start seeing, well, this is going to be a good day.
And he can find a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. He gets in midfield, you're waiting for him to run, and as Em said, with Watkins' pace, he'll put in the channels, and then everyone will just chase after it. And it's not surprising they got a good record at home this season.
Yeah, they really have, like you say, they're going to have to silence that whole end. And that whole end indeed, Emile, you know very, very well. Before we go on and have a little talk about your career, do you know off the top of your head how many Premier League appearances you had?
5.
Oh, come on, Em.
5-10.
Close. Do you want to guess?
5. I saw it in the stat sheet. 5-13.
5-16. Oh. So, Emile Heskey, you are in the top 10 all-time Premier League appearances, which for a striker is even more impressive because of those sort of types of stats are usually dominated by goalkeepers and defenders.
How many goalkeepers are in the top 10?
Is it just you? I don't know.
I think so.
Okay.
Just saying.
So yes, I mean, I'd love to spend a few minutes talking about you and your career, and of course, David, you'll know it so well, so you can chip in as well. So take you back to the start of your career, Leicester City, and was your first manager Martin O'Neill?
Well, first manager was Mark McGee. He gave me my debut. I was 17. We had a bit of flu going through the camp, and I was one of the only other strikers that could play. So yeah, 17, just turned 17.
Got to take your chance when it comes.
Yeah, so yeah. But then obviously the end of that season, sat on the bench for that, and then the end of that season we got relegated, and then that next season Martin O'Neill came in, and I played the full season with Martin.
We were lucky enough to have him as a guest on this show once, and I loved hearing him talk. What was that like playing under him?
Brilliant. Again, he came in and I was, what would I have been, 17, just nearly turning 18, and basically said, I've watched you play, you're going to be my number, I want you to start, because we had a couple of forwards then, and they played me left wing. I just wanted to play, I was a young lad, just get the ball and run with the ball. But he loved it. And then he's so infectious, so when you're doing something well for him, he'll make you feel like you're it's on the cloud 9. So when I played, I just wanted to play for him, and you see that with everyone. We went on and won the playoff. But then, you know, when you come up as a team, especially when you come through the playoffs, when you come up as a team from the Championship, what was League One then, everyone says, "Oh, you're getting relegated," blah blah blah. But we were confident, very confident. We had a really good manager. We had some good players. We were a little bit different to what everyone expected from us, and we stayed top half of the table and went to League Cup final. So yeah, beating. No, that wasn't that season. No, it was the following season. No, a couple of seasons after.
What?
Beating you.
Villa in the same final.
Yeah.
Were you there then?
Was I there?
We wouldn't have been friends if I'd known.
Is that when you were at Leicester or when you'd moved on?
No, at Leicester. Yeah, so
1-0.
Look at David is just pretending he does not remember that.
I can remember the goal as well. It was Elliot headed off the post.
So now it was. He just knew the characters to bring in, and that was one of the things with Martin. He knew which characters to bring in at that time to propel us to something else. So we went to 3 cup finals in 4 years, won 2 of them, and stayed top half of the table. And it was just a brilliant time to be around the club.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
After that, you went to Liverpool, of course, which was a huge deal at the time, and had a very, very successful year with Liverpool when they won the three cup trophies. Tell us about that. What was it like moving from Leicester to Liverpool?
Loved it. Obviously, growing up with my uncle, I was a Liverpool fan. So so having the opportunity to play for that club was just when I knew that they were in. That was the only club I wanted to go to. And then went there. And the funny thing is, I spoke to someone about it. If I'd been to the 97, 99, 2000 League Cups, so by that time I'd thought that was the norm, winning trophies, going to. No, but I was still 22 at the time, so I was still naive and then go to Liverpool, and I'm thinking, this is a huge club. You don't realise how big it is until you actually go to the club, and then you go and try and walk down the street anywhere in the world, not just in England, anywhere in the world, and you're like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so, but you can't really do it. And then go in there, and then I win the 2001 League Cup, so I'd been to 97, 99, 2000, 2001 League Cup finals. Then I win the FA Cup, then we win the Super Cup, when we win UEFA Cup, then we win the Super Cup, then we go with England, go and beat Germany 5-1. That 2001 was just crazy. And it's only now you look back, you look back at your career and you're like, oh wow, I did all that in 1 year. It's mad, and you realise when you go into them clubs, it's a must to win trophies as well. It's a must to be at the top, and it's a must to win.
When he's saying that, I'm thinking what the current City squad will be saying.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Years' time. It's like, 22, 23, that was we wanted to look.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, I've got to give a shout out to our producer today, who found an incredible couple of bits of info here. I think you're going to love this. So, linking it back, of course, to Manchester City, in that 2001 year, the semi-final for the European Trophy, you played Barcelona.
Yes.
Do you know who a certain man that was playing in that semi-final?
Pep.
Captained that semi-final, Pep Pep Guardiola captained the Barcelona side in the semi-final. It seems crazy to say, but even at that point, from hearing him on the pitch, from knowing him as the captain of that club, did you have any indication he'd go on to become the man that he is?
No, definitely not. Again, when you're going to battle, you're not thinking about too much about them. At the time, they had Rivaldo and Kluivert up front as well. So you're thinking, this is a some team. Xavi was playing as well. I remember, I don't think he played the following season. We played them again in the following season. They scored a goal, and it was 42 passes before they scored the goal. We lost that game, by the way. But yeah, they were it's just a phenomenal side that you're playing against. And I obviously didn't know that he was going to go on and do wonderful things that he is doing now. But you could see, you could obviously see, because again, when you're talking about midfielders, they're the engine, they're the thinkers, aren't they?
There's another link as well with Pep, another game you played in. You played, and there's another City link here as well, in Eriksen's first ever game as England manager. Mm-hmm. Don't know if you remember it. It was a friendly. It was Spain. At Villa against Spain.
3-0.
It was 3-0. Yeah. Pep Guardiola was playing in that Spanish team.
Yeah, I scored as well.
Yeah, I think we had him in our pocket.
Yeah, I think so as well.
I love that. I scored. I kept a clean sheet. Of course I remember that. Happy days.
I think I've got a drop next game as well.
So following that, of course, if we bring it to Aston Villa, of course, our opponents tonight, what was your time like there?
I loved it. Again, I was at Wigan. We'd done okay. We'd obviously beat relegation, and we was actually doing reasonably well. And then you bring in sort of likes of Palacios, who end up going to Spurs, Valencia, who ends up going to Man United, etc.
Say that name on stuff.
And so players like that, and then Villa came in with Martin again. Martin O'Neill was the manager then, and it was like he tried to take me to Scotland. Bit cold. Bit cold.
It is, yes.
It's a bit cold, so I thought let me stay down south. But then he came in, and I thought, yeah, why not? It's a huge club, and I've obviously grown up in Leicester, so I've constantly been playing against them as youth team players, and you know how big the club is. The club's huge, so getting that opportunity to play in that and then play in Europe again was great, especially at the age I was. I think I was 31 at the time, so yeah.
And you mentioned England before, 62 caps you had for England. Of course, you mentioned that historic victory against Germany. Do you remember that game like it was yesterday? Yeah,
it's the game that whenever I go anywhere, everyone talks about, so you can't forget it, can you really? So it's just the fascinating thing is we'd lost the last game at the old Wembley and Didi Hamann scored. And that was disappointing. And then going to away, and I think they hadn't lost a game in 50 plus games at home, a competitive game in 50 plus games. And then we go 1-0 down after 7 minutes. So it wasn't a great start. But then again, we had Sven was great in the sense of very calm, very relaxed, very composed. So when you went out on the pitch, and he gave you a lot of detail. So and that's what I felt anyway. When you go on the pitch, you kind of know what he wants, and you kind of know what's going to happen. And we were just calm about everything. We had a really good squad, really good players, and everything clicked. And we scored at vital points. So I think we scored just before half time to make it 2-1 after them going 1-0 up. So it kind of gives them a little bit of a dent. And then after half time, score again, and that's 3-1, and then they're finished.
I remember exactly where I was on that night. It was an 18th birthday party. I don't remember whose 18th birthday party it was, but it was in like a community centre place, and the party was in one room, and slowly throughout the night, people were dripping into the bar. What's going on? England are thumping Germany. By the end of it, everybody in the party was standing around the television. I think everybody remembers where they were that evening. And so your legacy lives on, an incredible career that you had, but you have now passed it down to your sons, Regan and Jayden, are here at Manchester City. And as you mentioned before, so how old were they when they joined?
So Jayden was 4. He joined pre-academy under 6s. And he was only 4 at the time. So it was funny because my wife was driving around trying to find somewhere to get him to go and play football or do something during summer during the summer, what's it called? Summer holidays, and there was a city camp, and so he ended up going. She stopped, went inside, and in the end, she said, "Can he come in?" And he goes, "Well, really can't come in till he's about 5 or 6, but he's a big lad." So he come out the car, bowling out the car, and he said, "Yeah, go on, let him play, go on." Left him there for the week, and they invited him down to Platt Lane. So then that was where it started. And then obviously Regan's 2 years younger, and he's there every day with whatever days that Jaden's there. He's there with us, but on the side, and they're just like, "Oh, go on then, you can go and do it as well." So ended up with both of them in it.
It's amazing. My son is 6, and you can already see the kids that are incredible at that age. How have you? I guess so. You've known the club for a long time, and because your children are here, I guess that you are very happy with the academy setup.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, 100%. Again, I'd had the opportunity to take them to other academies, and we did so. But the fact that I was impressed with what they were doing and how they were being coached. I have to give a shout out to Danny Walker, who's at Leicester actually. He was Jaden's first coach, and progressed with him, and then obviously they move on, etc. And they've just done fantastic, and I just left them to it, and I didn't really need, as a dad playing as well, you kind of think that you need to have an input. I left them because I knew that they were in good hands, so and it's worked out.
And it must have been a very, very proud moment for your family recently, because both your sons played in the young boys game in the UEFA Youth League.
Yep.
And Regan, in his debut, scored as well. I mean, the fact that he stepped up for that penalty, what a proud night that must be.
100%. Again, me and my wife went and watched, and it was just great to see them both. It's the first time I'd seen them both on the pitch, to be honest with you, since probably playing together at school. And that was only because Regan had to jump up 2 years. But it was great. As soon as he won the penalty and he stepped up, Regan's very confident. It's funny because they're two totally different kids as well, which is great to see. And the good thing with Man City, because they've been there from such a young age, they know that, so they treat them as two totally different people. Even though same mum, same dad, they're two totally different. You'll see the demeanours, everything about them is totally different. Two totally different, even players. One plays on the wing, one plays up front. So, yeah.
I interviewed Jaden before the Champions League game. It was that day, and he was incredibly well spoken, and you could see the pride that he'd been playing with his brother as well. So. We wish them all the success in the world, and thank you for thank your wife for driving around and stopping at a city summer school. It's worked out really well. So thank you so much, and thank you for being here tonight. So we are now into the month of December. There are 10 Matchday lives in December. There's so much football over Christmas. Thankfully, we love it. We love it. As many games as we can get. 10 Matchday live shows throughout December. We decided it would be a perfect time to reminisce on some of our favourite moments from the show this season so far. And we had to start with the time that FG asked Peter Crouch to do the robot.
Before we head back, it's only right that I can show you my robot celebration and you can judge it a little bit. So it's sort of like it's a bit stiff. Yeah, it's a little bit stiff, isn't it? Can you maybe give us a little bit of a... No, it's all retired now.
I've had a robot injury, sorry. Well, I've done it too much. No robots today.
You'll have to stick with the stiff me then, I guess. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live. FG and Peter Crouch from Pitchside. FG and Peter Crouch, we're together, we're friends. Love that. We're going to be showing you some of our other favourite moments from the show throughout all of the games across December. Now, on tonight's show, between us all, I'm going to do an FG and put myself in there as well, we have 137 England caps. So, between David, Emile and Darius, 137 England appearances. Wow. You both were, of course, part of the golden generation. I guess the first question, David, what your time playing together for England, what was it like? What's your favourite memories? What's your favourite stories?
Yeah, the golden generation. We weren't called the golden generation when we were playing, were we?
Of course, what else?
It was like being part of a boys group that I was allegedly in, which I didn't know about until after. I think it was a time of great optimism. Like Em was saying about Sven. I mean, Sven, I love Sven as a manager. He had this separation between him and the team using Steve McLaren at times, or whoever, Brian Kiddo. We went into tournaments, I think, thinking that we were going to win them genuinely. Unfortunately, Portugal on 2 occasions upset us, and some guy called Ronaldinho, or whatever his name was. It was a time of optimism, but as I said, strangely, we were never called the golden generation at the time. It was always sort of retrospective. You think, well, why didn't you say that at the time rather than hammering us for not winning things?
I think when you talk about golden generation, so we in England we look at ourselves and we say, yeah, we've got the best players, blah, blah, blah. And you should always think that way. But I just go off my age group. I played for England under 18s, and Gerald Houllier was the manager. You had Henry, Trezeguet, Anelka, Gallas, Silvestre, Willy Sagnol, Ousmane Darboe, Edouard Cissé, and that's just my age group. And then you add in Zidane.
What did they win?
There you go. So we all like to think, and we should all think that we are the best. But they went on and won World Cups and Euros. So you've got to say who really had the. And then you got. But
the thing, and this is the thing I always take from it, and it was the fact that we had such a good squad, and it wasn't that we played badly not to win. We came up against some really exceptional teams. You know, the likes of Spain when they dominate, the likes of France, as you said, getting beat by Portugal on penalties. So frustrating.
And the Brazil side, you had Ronaldo.
They were just lucky.
And Rivaldo up front, 3 Ballon d'Ors on the pitch, plus Kaká on the bench, another Ballon d'Or.
We had Michael Owen.
Yeah, and he scored.
Yeah, see? Our Ballon d'Or scored. All of theirs did, yeah. They probably did, actually.
2 of them.
You played 31 times together as well for England.
Half of your caps.
Yeah. I enjoyed playing with Jamal, honestly. It was a bit crazy, but he was... I loved the tournaments.
Yeah.
It was my barber, by the way.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
You were his barber?
Yeah.
Oh, please, you've got to give us a full story of this.
No, when you go away with the national team, you don't have no barber or anything, so he was the barber.
The world's changed now. I think nowadays they probably fly someone in from LA.
Fly someone over. But now we basically you don't have anyone to cut your hair. So
what people don't understand is there's so much downtime, and obviously you don't actually spend much time in the day playing football or even training. But when you're on tournaments, especially finals, you're cooped up somewhere. I mean, we had Joe Hart. I remember in 2010 we had a darts team. Darts competition. Everyone had a name. I can't remember what my name was, but his was One Dart Heart, and things crud. Whatever it was just you amuse yourself, and people like Em said with the hair, it's like, well, I'll get my clippers in.
But who did your hair? Because you had some hairstyles back then.
I did my own. Oh, except for in 2010 when I had braids. I think one of the ladies at the hotel was good at doing braids, so yeah.
Why not? Yeah.
Can you do my hair? Yeah. Oh, cool. Great.
I love these stories. What was it like? Because obviously, I always wonder this about the international setup. You're all coming from different teams. You're all coming from teams that are really competing against each other at the highest level. And then you come together as an England team. What's the rivalry like?
It changed. I think because obviously I got there a little bit before you, there was talk of the United separation thing, and at the time it felt that way. Look at them sticking with each other and whatever. But I think it was more discipline. United always turned up early for meals, so they would sit with each other. We always turned up late and then sit with wherever. But as time progressed, when you mentioned that golden generation, I think everyone just got on. It was actually nice going. It should be anyway, but going away and you didn't look at the other player as someone you disliked, especially after you get beaten cup finals and Frank Lampard was sat across the table. It's like he's smiling and I'm like, yeah, you just beat us. But you just think, no, we've got to get this together and try and win things.
In terms of the current England setup, obviously City have quite a few players, Foden, Grealish, Stones, Walker, Phillips, and obviously very proud that Rico Lewis has come through into the international team as well. What do you make of the current England team?
Look, I think they've got some fantastic players, and I think the game's changed that much that where the fluency of changing positions, etc., it's good to see a lot of City players because that's the way they do it at their club. But it's great to see that that the actual England setup, because again we were just 4-4-2. Yeah, 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2. Anyway, yeah. So
no comment. So
it's good to see that he changes a lot every now and again. So and with football nowadays, everyone there's got to be a lot of fluency, and all these players are equipped to do that now. So it's great to see the way that they're doing it.
I think there's an add-on to that as well.
Okay.
To be in the England squad, you have to be the right person, let alone the right player. Yeah. And I think for the likes of the City players, because you mentioned Rico Lewis there, he wouldn't be in the squad, he wouldn't be starting today if he wasn't the right person, let alone, as I say, his ability to play. So I think he's got a great chance of doing a lot with the national team. And the golden generation will be forgotten because it'll become a platinum generation.
Oh, I'd love Rico Lewis to be in the platinum generation. Oh, I'd love that, David. Thank you so much. Right, we're going to go back over to Villa Park now. FG and Darius Vassell. And FG, we saw you doing the robot with Peter Crouch before. Have you practiced? Have you got any better?
Yeah, I've got it, Darius. Yeah.
Crouch is right, man. You're super stiff. Let's move on to the final thoughts.
Let's talk about the final thoughts. Let's talk about the golden generation first. They were talking about in the studio before. You were a member of the World Cup squad in 2002, the Euros squad in 2004. Give us all your thoughts, Darius.
Yeah, I think the main thought was, and I did have a little think about it, the players knowing and being so disappointed that we weren't able to get over the line and go and win a trophy with that group of players that we had, because I don't know if there's ever been a group like that since, and that's no disrespect to what we've got now, but it was a different feel to it, wasn't there? We had a lot of characters, a lot of special young players, big players in David Beckham, players coming through in Wayne Rooney. We had everything in that group, and we really should have come away with a lot more than what we did.
What was the moment where you thought, hang on a minute, there was a lot of pressure from the media, of course, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of talk from people who weren't necessarily involved with the team. But that team, they knew they were special because of the names, but was there a specific time where you thought, this is the moment, oh, this guy's really, really good, he's definitely going to take us to that next level?
In terms of pressure, I think that Brazil game in the World Cup, that was a big eye-opener. But again, we had the opportunity in 2004 to go and do something, and we weren't able to do it. We had Wayne Rooney, and that was the emergence of Wayne Rooney. That was when he was, on the top of his form. And unfortunately, he went out with an injury, which was difficult. We didn't quite recover from that, unfortunately. And again, I think all of the players look back, and we look for reasons, and we spoke about it, didn't we? Was it that the players were going in their groups from their teams and things like that? We can't put our finger on what it was, but that group of players certainly should have, come away with some sort of trophy. So hopefully with the young generation that we've got now, with Gareth Southgate, we can bring something home to make up for it.
I can really feel the passion from you. Behind us, as you can see, we've got players like Phil Foden, we've got Rico Lewis. The next generation, should we call them as now, but they are special players, aren't they?
Yes, certainly, and with them being able, they would have been watching, us, I'd say, as the golden generation, and wanting to, emulate that, and they've got the opportunity now, the perfect opportunity, and we just hope that they feel that disappointment we felt, and they're able to use that now to spur England on, spur the young players on, spur the nation on, into go and bringing the trophy home, because it's long overdue.
It is indeed. Now let's go into our final thoughts about today's game then. We're actually playing in a kit where we played away at Burnley, away at West Ham. We won both of them, we're in that kit again. Do players ever think about what they're wearing in terms of that, and records wearing kits?
I think fans do more than players. I think players know and believe in their own ability. It doesn't matter what they're wearing, they could wear a bin bag, they should still be able to stick the ball in the back of the net. Hopefully when it's not this goal.
No pressure. We are in front of the away fans, by the way, and the atmosphere is already building. We've heard plenty from them, but who do you expect to shine in the City team behind us tonight?
You look at Foden, you always look at Foden, he's a shining light of the team. I always look at him to be the one that unlocks the door. Obviously you can't not mention Haaland. He's had his ups and downs over the past few weeks. It wouldn't surprise me if he comes away with something today. In the City's team, you could be the pick of anybody, but those two for me are the lookout players. Alvarez as well, sharp. The City have got a multitude of talent there that can produce something on an occasion like this tonight, but it will be difficult.
It will be difficult indeed. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. Fingers crossed we'll be back for post-match. Let's head back to the studio, but I'm not that stiff, am I?
FG just continues to get rinsed by everybody. God bless him. God bless him. We love you, FG. Thank you so much to FG and to Darius Vassell. We'll get their thoughts at the end of the game as well, where hopefully we're talking about a Manchester City win, of course. So, gents, we're at this point. We are less than 10 minutes away now from kickoff. Of course, you can get full match commentary, as always, on the Manchester City app with Alistair Mann and Steve Howie. Your best bet, Sean Goater, sorry. Alistair Mann and Sean Goater. It is Steve Howie at the weekend. Best place to get your commentary, as always. If you are just joining us, you're very, very welcome. Your team for tonight is on the screen there. So you have Edison, Walker, Diaz, Akanji, Gvardiol, Stones is back, Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Silva, Alvarez and Haaland. So that is your City starting 11 for this evening. So, David, give us some of your final thoughts, your final pearls of wisdom before the game.
I'm loving that warm-up top. Is that new?
It's nice, isn't it?
That's nice, yeah. Final thoughts. Well, again, just want to see how this lineup is, because that midfield filling in for Rodri is going to be an interesting. If you can keep McGinn quiet, I think then it gives City a very good chance of. I'm not going to say comfortable. I don't think Villa are going to make any game at home comfortable this season. But yeah, I'm confident that that Man City can get the result, because I'm supporting Villa.
Are you supporting Villa? Well, of course. I mean, you're not going to support City.
Oh yeah, look, I think it's going to be an important game for whoever sets the tone. I think that's one of the things that Villa fans, obviously over the years, it's about setting the tone. It's about getting off to a good start. It's about the first tackle. It's about the first header, and being aggressive, because they generally what they want to do is get the crowd behind them and get going that way. So that'll be interesting to see how they set up on that. McGinn's going to be key to that, because again, he's the one that really gets them going. And then obviously Ollie Watkins getting in behind.
Give us a score prediction, gents. Yes, David?
Alvarez. He scores.
Thank you.
2-1 City.
2-1 City with an Alvarez goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2, okay.
I'm going to go for a draw.
You're just safe to say if you want Villa to win here.
No, I'm going for a draw.
Nice people here.
They're going to beat me up on it.
Yes, you're very, very welcome, yes. Thank you very much, Emile Heskey. Thank you very much, David James. The teams are in the tunnel, as you can see. So if you're not currently watching us on the Manchester City app, that is the place to go now for your full match commentary. Alistair Mann and the wonderful Sean Goater. We'll be back at half-time, and then, of course, we'll be back at full-time as well, where hopefully David's prediction is correct or even better than that. Of course, third taking on fourth today. We don't want Villa jumping us in the table today. So thank you so much for joining us on Match Day Live tonight. We'll see you in about 45 minutes.
Welcome to Villa Park. Yes, thank you, Natalie. The Blues are playing catch-up once again. They begin the evening 6 points behind leaders Arsenal.